presentation.
There are certain things in small town suburban America in the 1990s that are completely indelible to the American life. You have small town mayors that are just there in name only, generally glad-handing in diners. You have the pictures on the wall of those diners of random sports teams, and a lot of those are just, trophy grabbers, right? You've got your T-ball teams. Everyone played T-ball. Everyone played soccer. You know who fucking earned it? The people who played Pee Wee football. Pee Wee football is for the people, and there is no better movie to depict that than The Little Giants.
When you hear your name called, I want you to go over to Coach Butts, and I want you to pick up your jersey.
Those jerseys are so cool.
For everyone who has waited to be chosen.
Lewis.
Yeah!
But is still waiting.
Rivera.
For everybody who has dreamed of being somebody.
Scanlon.
But is still dreaming.
Walker.
For every person who only wanted that one chance.
For the rest of you.
But never got it.
I'd like to thank you for trying out.
Your day has come.
Let's kick some butt.
Are you ready for a miracle?
Welcome to No Flicks Given. My name is Peter, and I love this movie so fucking much. With me, as always, is the full crew. I'm so happy we're all here together. I am on one today. I'm hyped up. Let's go around and say hello. Frank, tell the people hi.
Hi, everybody. Excited to be here. Excited to talk about Little Giants, a movie I have not thought about in quite some time.
Connor, say hello to the people.
This movie made me fucking cry.
Yes, it did.
This movie made me fucking cry.
I think I can guess when.
Matt, what do you think about The Little Giants?
I think it brought back a lot of uncomfortable memories from my childhood.
Awesome. I'm glad we're all on the same page.
Spent an hour unpacking that.
Why did it make you uncomfortable, Matt?
I was one of those kids when it came to baseball. I was literally a member of the Island of Misfit teams team in Little League because I was bad at baseball. Like, I was the kid that would show up to tryouts and not be able to catch the ball for the life of me or hit the ball for the life of me. And some coach with a heart full of pity just picked up me and a bunch of other kids and somehow managed to get us into at least the second round of playoffs one year.
Did he happen to look like the guy from Honey, I Shrunk the Kid?
He didn't, but it would have been a lot more fun if he did, though.
God bless Rick Moranis. Frank, do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
I think this was one of those ones that it took me a long time to sit through it start to finish. It was on TV. I remember specifically I caught the football game itself a ton of times before I caught the earlier part of the movie. I would just watch. I remember watching the game part of this, which is a long game, over and over and over again. So it was just always on TV.
It's the last 40 minutes of the movie is the game.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. So
which is respectable.
I don't know. This might have been the first time I really consciously sat down and the opening. This is the first time I really remember the opening animated play credits.
Which are perfect.
Perfect.
The soundtrack to this movie and the opening credits. That's my very first note. Perfect opening credits and theme song.
Yeah.
The small town band, high school band kind of feel with the credits and the soundtrack. I think is just so spot on.
Yeah. When Amblin Entertainment meant something, and you had that the best use of Spielberg's immaturity, just all over everything that company touched.
Well, have you guys heard how this got greenlit or even how the idea? Tell the people, Matt.
So McDonald's in the 90s did a Pee Wee football inspired commercial for the Super Bowl. Which I haven't seen yet. I do want to see. Spielberg saw that and then came back and was like, we have to make this movie. I want a movie about Pee Wee football that is like this commercial. And so then they set out to do this.
And then it just got made because that's the
Because
power
Steven Spielberg
Steven
willed it.
Spielberg in 1992. Yeah.
Has a man ever been more powerful than that? Steven Spielberg in 1992.
In film? I don't
Stuff
think so.
that would just appear because of what he saw on the way home from work. It's just so funny in that era.
The older I get, the more I learn just how much that man made culture better for like a decade.
Yeah.
Single-handed.
Kevin Feige wishes he had like a pinky's worth of Steven Spielberg's power at that time.
You
He's
know
a
you
pretender
have
to the crown.
power when you consciously keep your name off of certain things because it has such a weight to it. You're like you don't want to overshadow pieces of stuff. So it's a fascinating era.
Connor,
Peter.
what's your history with this film?
We watched the shit out of this movie as kids. I remember specifically we did a road trip to my grandmother's house in South Bend, Indiana, from Washington D.C., which is that's a long haul. And my mom got one of those TVs you can plug into a cigarette lighter.
Yeah.
And
Such
sort
a
of sat up-
small window of time.
that had a VHS player built into it, and we must have watched this movie dozens of times in just that one trip. And it, along with like Sandlot and Mighty Ducks, there was sort of like heavy summer rotation.
I have a shockingly similar experience with this movie. My godfather was a bigwig at GM back in the day, and so we had one of the first Oldsmobile Silhouette minivans that had the flip down TV in the middle and a VCR built into the van.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like Little Giants, Major Payne,
Major Payne.
Baby Geniuses. Like we had a random ass rotation of films, but we loved the shit out of Little Giants, so much to the point where I was taking clips of the movie as I was watching it and sending it to my little sister just to see like what she remembered, and she was like fuck it and had to like watch the movie the next day. Like it's such a core part of my youth, like specifically the first one that I sent, the first clip that I sent her was they're getting ready to start the game and they're doing the chants and they're going Giants.
Help us, God!
Yep.
Burned in my brain.
That
Yes.
kid is so fucking funny.
All the kids in this movie
All the kids are
are
very funny.
fantastic.
Very good.
All the way down to the mini Rick Moranis, Ed O'Neill at the very beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. Like
Oh, yeah.
copying their mannerisms. They're so good. I don't know. Where do we even start with this?
I don't know. It's one of
beginning.
those ones where it's like, yeah, it's a real simple plot, and it's like I forgot how much this movie was kind of just like gags and bits all the way through. Like it's pretty thin as far as like plot, but it's there. It's kind of, a fun tiny movie.
One of my notes was, especially early on, the comedic details, especially the stuff that they hand to the kids, is so specific and so well done. So the tryout scene, that there are like 3 bits back to back between, the first one is when your token big boy gets hit and he has the lunchbox in his helmet. He has the peanut butter and jelly sandwich in his helmet.
Uh-huh.
When the coach like starts to throw the sandwich away, the line reading of
My mom made that!
is so good. But the one that really got me and really stood out is when Ed O'Neill is giving the speech as he's starting to select people for the team. And he gives the speech that he's clearly done 1,000 times. And you see our protagonist, Becky, Icebox, mouthing the speech along with him.
Little things like
3 high school championships,
3 high school championships,
a national collegiate championship,
a national collegiate title,
an All-American title.
an All-American title, and not,
Not
to mention
a Heisman Trophy.
a Heisman Trophy.
I thought was like such an amazing little detail that like I don't think most kids could be able to pull off today. But that was the thing that like really grabbed me, and I was like, oh shit, they put a lot of attention into this movie, even though the plot is like thin enough for an 8-year-old. Yeah, this movie held up so good for me.
Am I the only one who on this watch really appreciated Ed O'Neill as a comedic actor?
Yes.
Like,
Holy
goddamn,
shit.
that man is truly a master. Like, he's very good in this.
His jaw must have been sore at the end of every day with the amount of gum that he chews in this movie.
That is such a beautiful character choice to be literally only always chewing gum, because like I've had coaches like that like can't sit still, and have to have gum or they'll go nuts.
What's his line at the car dealership? There's 3 times in a man's life when he can howl at the moon.
When he gets married, when he scores the winning touchdown in a big game, and when he buys his first Chevy. Congratulations.
It also paints such a picture of the small town with that one claim to fame sort of situation. Mm-hmm. Everything is named after the guy, like and just the economy of this town is essentially reliant on him.
So I have a big question about that. So the guy wins multiple state championships in football for high school. He wins like collegiate like MVP or whatever. He wins a fucking Heisman.
Yeah.
He doesn't get drafted.
He blew out his knee.
But that's never addressed. Like I was waiting for that like little tidbit of like.
I think that there's a weird suggestion that he played for the real Giants at some point, because he makes a quip about the name.
Well, he says nice touch because Little Giants. I was associated with that. I was like, okay. Nice pun, because all of your kids are shrimps. But
fair enough.
I don't know. It could be one of those things where it's like, despite all of that, despite how good he is, like you don't make it all the way to like I think the gimmick is like he's really good for a small town, like really good for a small town, but like he's not gonna be Christian McCaffrey. Like he's that kind of thing.
I mean, but he won a Heisman.
I know, and that kind of throws it out of whack. But it's basically
and like not everybody that wins a Heisman is good, but almost everybody that won a Heisman gets drafted.
It doesn't really hold up unless there's some injury they don't really mention in it. But I think the gimmick of it is like I think he's not. It's also kind of focused way more on what I thought was interesting was like the like back nine of the I'm an athlete fantasy, which is like, okay, you're done with your time. It's not a sad, awful world where you're out of the limelight. Instead, he's like in this like fantasy world where he's in a small town. He's king of the town. He's got a like nice house, but not a mansion. He runs like the most successful business in town, and kind of like is just like that's kind of like I think an older idea of like that's what happens to athletes. That's their like go to the farm upstate kind of thing.
The NFL, the car dealership pipeline.
Yeah. Don't you get the impression too that like the mayor based his entire campaign on being friends with him?
Yeah, I think so for sure.
Oh yeah.
He swayed the election.
Yeah, and I bet you the mayor goes to him to solve problems all the time. They seem to have like a rapport.
It's a Jack Skellington and Halloween Town mayor scenario.
Yes, that is such a good analogy.
O'Shea, I got my tail in a trap. We gotta talk.
Jack, please, I'm only an elected official here. I can't make decisions by myself.
Yeah, my read was that he had a professional career. It's just they don't talk about it. Probably.
I kind of thought that too. Yeah, he was at least
of the rights issue. It may have not have been a particularly remarkable professional career.
Yeah,
could be. I was just waiting for that in like the monologue, the clearly rehearsed monologue, and 7 seasons with the Green Bay Packers or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I think part of that allows you to. I think it's partially that, but also it lets you set it in sort of a generic, sort of world where you don't have to worry about, because they don't talk about what team technically John Madden is coaching as they're on their way.
Oh my God!
To the Hall of Fame.
I forgot that
he was done coaching. He was just a play-by-play guy at that point.
Yeah.
Was the video game out yet? No, right? 94 is early.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Wow. First couple ones, yeah. Madden is.
I want to say the first Madden was like 90.
He's one of those guys where if he was around during the Me Too movement, it might not have been good. But God bless, he got out. He got out at the right time.
I never took him as far as like big sports football icons go. I whenever I would think of John Madden, there wasn't a lot of situations where I would think of him like hanging out with the ladies and partying late. Like it was mostly like him being a football geek.
The first John Madden football game was John Madden football in 1988.
Good Lord, it's older than me.
Yeah. it didn't just become Madden. So it was Madden NFL 95 was the first one where it was just that. It was always John Madden Football and then the year.
And then eventually they switched it to Madden. Great. It's just like it's crazy that legacy he now has on top of everything else. I also want to flag. We can go through the kids specifically, but like the nerdy kid that's basically in any other movie would invent a time machine and has like Bunsen burners and shit like in the barn.
Yeah.
Like just like the most This was that era where like to be funny you had to make a live action cartoon. Like that was like what you did.
Well,
Oh, that's one of my notes. This is a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They rotoscope cartooned a booger on one of the kids' faces.
They sure did.
The CGI snot bubble.
That kid's great too. That kid knows exactly
That
what
kid
movie
is
he's
a
in.
fucking genius.
Which one was that?
The kid with the really skinny kid with the mom who was like
The helicopter
The
mom.
one from the kid
Helicopter
from
mom?
Seinfeld. Like I know him as the kid
My
from
shrink said I had to
Kramer's
get out
karate
more.
class in Seinfeld.
Yes,
which
that is
might have been the
correct.
same year because he looks identical to that. He's fantastic in both of those, and has my favorite line in the movie, which is just the way he screams. That is.
You can tell that they were trying to make that a catchphrase because I listened when I watched it this time I realized that they used the same like piece of audio, the same cut when he's in the
Twice.
football pads to when he like starts when he can't see because he has the helmet on.
His appearance in Little Giants was 2 years before his appearance on Seinfeld.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay.
What's his name?
Todd Bosley.
He's got a headshot on
and-
IMDb where you're like, wow, he's our age. Like you just it really like surprises
Yeah.
you
Well,
to see
yeah.
him as an adult.
Oh my god, look at him.
Yeah,
But-
he's 4 years older than me. He was born in '84.
Yeah,
which
all
makes
the
a lot
kids
of
in this
sense.
movie are like 40.
Yeah.
Do you know what's a
Yeah.
weird one? I kept closing and opening IMDb every time I'd see someone on screen because I was like, I know that from
Yeah.
somewhere. The one that really got me this time is, do you know who the Ed O'Neill's younger daughter is? Don't look it up if you don't know. But do you know who
Oh,
she is?
I looked it up.
I looked it up, so I know.
I
Okay.
saw it. I saw it in
But
the
I
credits.
didn't catch it in the. Yeah, I didn't catch it in the moment.
Yeah, Carmen from all the Spy Kids.
Alexa Vega.
Alexa
Yeah.
Vega, yeah.
There are a couple in here. There's actually I'm curious, Matt, if you pulled the Star Trek one.
Oh, Susanna Thompson and Courtney Peldon.
Is that there was one of the kids that
Courtney
was,
Peldon is Debbie.
Which one's Debbie? I don't know I don't know any adult name in this movie.
She's the older cheerleader daughter, O'Shea daughter.
Oh, okay.
And then Susanna Thompson is Rick Moranis' love interest, the mother of Junior.
Okay. Junior.
They were both in
Sawa.
Deep Space Nine.
Like it's a loaded cast. Did anyone recognize Spike from anything else, or is that just me?
He's been in a lot. I mean, I
there's-
recognized him
There's
immediately
one
from
that we
Brink.
like. Brink, yes.
Is it Brink? Yeah.
You have to scream it when you say it because there's an exclamation point in the
Brink!
title. Brink. He is a very different character and like a true asshole in that movie. It's actually kind of a good villain.
It's funny because he also ended up on an episode of Modern Family, so I'm wondering if him
I
and
wrote
Ed
that down.
O'Neill
Oh.
like
Yeah, I think
Caught
it was
up?
an Ed O'Neill connection. Yeah, I finished the movie right before we jumped onto this, but I almost want to watch that episode and see if there's like
okay, I'm gonna get you, Matt. There's another Star Trek one. I knew there was.
oh,
So the kid that plays Johnny, who again has one of my favorite moments in the movie. So Johnny is the kid who has the absentee dad.
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
His dad is always and has one of my favorite sequences where they do the play specifically for him.
Pitch to Johnny? You can't pitch to Johnny. I'm Johnny.
Wait, is that the moment
Yeah,
that Connor you cried? Is that the moment you cried?
It was one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
It happened a couple of times.
Johnny was in an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh
1990.
no! Oh god, I just looked it up. Yeah, he was one of the early Alexander Rozhenkos.
Which you should not look up. So the actor himself does not have a great life. He is no
No.
longer living.
No,
Oh, damn.
Oh, we lost Johnny.
Yeah,
he had a not great.
he was abused while working for the TV series Grace Under Fire, notoriously by the lead. What is her name? Brett Butler. She was apparently like alcoholic and fairly abusive on set, which caused him to quit acting. And he tried to become a punk rocker for a little while, and then he opened up a vegan restaurant in San Francisco, and 3 years later unalived himself, sadly.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So yeah, not great for Johnny.
It's almost
Feel
like children shouldn't be professional actors and like make a living, and should just like go be children and like, go to school and have friends and stuff.
tough pipeline there.
Yeah.
I'll say with Johnny, then we can move on because I don't know how much he's going to come up because I just kept forgetting about him. His like storyline with his dad has possibly the identical amount of beats as Will Patton's storyline in Armageddon with his son. Like it is just the barest of bones of like every like 35 minutes they do a quick 10-second scene and then it just pays off in like a really emotional way at the end.
I also love with him, like during the recruiting scene, they find weirdos to sort of spread around town.
Great.
Let's
scene.
talk about that scene. Yeah, I love it.
And they're just walking down the street and like, there's another child. Would you like to play football with us?
Yeah, some of them they see, and some of them are like Rick Moranis approaches what I assume is an unparented, like there's no parent around with this kid, and it's just like, yeah,
on a horse outside of a general store.
And that gimmick of the railroad tracks is brilliant.
So good.
Is 10 out of 10. So perfect.
So for people who have not seen this movie in a long time, because I assume everyone listening to this has actually seen this movie at some point. Rick Moranis kind of gets tricked into coaching this team. So Rick Moranis grows up as Ed O'Neill's younger nerdy brother. And for some reason, Rick Moranis' daughter, who we'll get into that backstory later because that's another tragic thing for this weirdly progressive movie. His daughter is like the tomboyiest tomboy to ever tomboy. She likes go-karts, which this is my prize go-kart of any movie that I've ever seen ever. I've always wanted this go-kart.
It's well built.
She chocolate milk and go-kart. She lives in fucking paradise.
She does.
Right?
That's all I
She
wanted my
does.
life to be when I was that age.
And enough trails to basically get anywhere in the town on your go-kart. So she decides to like con her dad into starting this team when there's only like 4 established players. And then, Rick Moranis agrees because he's tired of being bullied by Ed O'Neill. And the like assembling the team, like we were just talking about, where it's just the 4 of them on the train tracks, and then as they add a kid, like in order, they just start coming onto the train tracks. You've got your token kid that just wants to kick stuff. You've got weirdo kid that thinks he's a cowboy. You've got loner kid whose dad is just like nowhere to be found.
What is the kid who wants to be a cowboy thing that's in like Willy Wonka? There's like 10 of these movies. What is that?
I feel like it's such a carryover from the 50s.
It's a stock character type from the 50s because that was actually my uncle who grew up in the 50s had like a cowboy guns and holsters. And
Where does that kid sit in the cafeteria? Like, where is he in the hierarchy?
He's not welcome. He's not welcome.
Not with the cool kids. I'll tell you that.
He's at he's at the stocks.
It's the equivalent today if there was a kid walking around with a lightsaber all the time.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Amen.
I don't love that you didn't even have to reach off camera. Like you didn't even leave the camera.
It's like you're reaching for a drink.
It's because I've been working on this one.
Oh, okay. Sure, that's a good excuse.
I see you've constructed a new lightsaber.
I love us.
Connor, let's dig into your tragedy a little bit. What made you cry?
Actually, it was just sort of a combination of like, so like the dad thing. Yeah, dads.
Yeah,
but I got suckered by the music. I think like this beautiful soaring score.
Let's talk about it.
As a bunch of like underdogs get the gumption together to go get their asses probably kicked. For some reason, just emotionally touched something very deep inside of me that I'm not fully aware of.
Oh, Frank and I know the reason why.
We know the reason why, and you will know the reason why once we tell you because you love another piece of music by this guy. This was John.
Is it the Passion of the Christ?
Yeah. This is John Dabney, who has never not done a 9 out of 10 score every single time. And
Yeah.
his biggest, I mean, not his biggest claim to fame, but in our podcast, the biggest claim to fame is Cutthroat Island, which is truly one of the greatest adventure scores, if not the greatest adventure score ever written. And
Also
he
did the
is-
Halloween tree, which the score in that is
Yeah.
fucking
he
fantastic.
is he will do any type of movie, and he will mold his style to fit that movie. The guy who did the score for Little Giants did the score for Passion of the Christ, and both work really well. Like, it's crazy.
and other notable Noflix given or we might not have been a podcast then, but The Relic he did.
Relic,
Oh,
he
God.
did. Yeah, that was, I think, a collab, but he also did one random like theatrically released SpongeBob movie with like some of the best pieces of music I've ever heard
yeah.
that are like really hard to find, because who the fuck would want to listen to that? But
La La Land Records will eventually put it out. I have to believe that.
he's
He did the other
quietly
great football movie,
incredible.
The Replacements.
Yeah,
I
think
did
that's
not
got
know
a decent
that.
score. I'd like to rewatch
He
that
did.
one too.
He did Hocus fucking Pocus.
Yes, he did.
Oh, that's another.
He did
I'm
Elf.
completely missed that. Yeah, a great. Thing.
Yeah, he's
Like-
yes.
The
He-
music in Elf, like, come on.
Oh God, yeah.
between him and James Newton Howard, they know how to pull on your heartstrings.
Yeah. I would also imagine that there's something about the fact that I watched this 1,000 times as a child.
Yeah.
Was probably tugging at a heartstring somewhere. Probably knocked something loose.
Sure.
But Peter, you have to. There's this other tragedy that you kind of left hanging. In
I
the
was
air.
just gonna
Now I
go
need-
back to it.
I need
Yeah,
to
what do
know
you-
Okay, yeah.
what
So
the fuck's going on here.
So the heart of this movie is an identity crisis
Okay.
for a young girl who's trying to figure out what she is in the world. And she instinctively feels like she is this rough and tumble person. And a part of that is because she was raised by a single dad. And there's a really emotional scene. The one that kind of got me is revisiting the fact that, like, they were effectively abandoned by her mother. Like,
Yeah.
Wanna talk
he's
about
not
that.
widowed. Yeah, let's do that.
Weird. It's weird that they went out of their way to have the mom abandon them instead of just like she died. Every other
Yeah.
movie, the mom just dies. Why have the mom abandoned? Is that the rebellion where she becomes more like masculine? Are they trying to say something there?
I think there's a part of that. And
I think I respect it.
Trying to figure out, like, and this is to me why this movie is so fucking progressive, is it's like you get to choose who you want to be, and if you want to be a cheerleader, that's fine, and if you want to go play football, that's fine. It's all okay. But because of this abandonment, like, I think it kind of drove her to be to have her father's interests more, because he's the one that's there. And that's why she's driving go-karts. And that's why she's drinking chocolate milk. And that's why she, has no real interest in, like, traditionally feminine things, is that she is so much her father's daughter. And that is why this movie exists, is because at her heart, she has taken on a lot more of her father's identity, and by extension, her uncle's identity, because of the nature of extended family when you only have one parent. So I think there's just a ton of that there. I think there is kind of a subtext of, like, she spent a lot of time in her uncle's house and learned a ton about football from her Heisman winning uncle.
And it was like that's the uncle whose wife didn't leave him, and is like, there's value there. There's like, it's surprisingly nuanced for a movie with this many farts. Like, it is crazy that also I kind of really respect and appreciate the subtlety that they do, the like coming of age. I didn't know I like boys until I saw this boy. I'm dealing with, like, I'm coming to terms with the fact that I do like boys. I'm coming to terms with the fact that I like this specific boy. And it's like a weird minefield emotionally that she's dealing with in a movie that, like, takes the time to kind of hit all the necessary beats of it. They didn't need to really focus on that, but they like do it really good justice.
They could have killed the mom so fast and just been done with it, and they took the time to really explore that.
I don't know if this struck you guys the same way it struck me. The scene where Becky goes over to Uncle Kevin's house.
Hey!
Hey, Uncle Kev. Is, Karen home?
Come on in, buddy.
The look that Ed O'Neill gives her is like a fucking novel. Because as a kid, it was just sort of like, this is the scene where she goes and is a cheerleader. The thought process as an adult, looking at Ed O'Neill's face, is, oh shit, she needs to talk to a woman and she doesn't have a mom, and this is the only person she can go to. I have to be very gentle in this situation.
And forget all the other stuff we've been dealing with this whole movie. I want to talk also about Ed O'Neill's character and the complexity they bothered with in a movie that's basically a cartoon, where he's really just the bully for a lot of it, and the ways he sort of like leans into when he needs to turn that off, when he needs to be more of a good guy. Like, I actually like enjoy this, I guess, villain. I don't really call him that, but like, you know what I mean?
I don't think he is the villain. I think Spike and his dad are the villain. Spike's dad specifically, is just a psychopath. Like I don't want to know what flags are hanging up in his garage.
No.
I think it's yellow with a spiraling snake is what I'm gonna guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't step on snake.
No steppy, no snake. The most complex scene, I think, for me is the scene that's shortly before when she goes over. It's when it's Ed O'Neill's character Kevin and Becky in the diner, when she's like miserable and she's like, doing the paper ball jump shot and into the water. And I can never tell if this is him just being an uncle to her, where he's basically saying, look, I know you're a great football player, but if you got a crush on this boy, he's not going to want to date his teammate. And I can never tell if this is like intentional sabotage or like him actually being an uncle and trying to like tell her what he thinks she needs to hear.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think the fact that there's no payoff to it being him, like, getting her out of the game, they don't come back to that, is the fact that it's like, yes, he's getting her out of the game, but this is also like the best advice he can give regardless of the scenario. So kind of both, but mostly being a good guy.
Because the payoff kind of comes with the scene that always gives me chills, which is dumb for a movie like this. But when the big game happens and Junior gets hurt and she decides that she's going to come into the game and she throws on the shoulder pads and the helmet, and Spike's dad is like,
What's that cheerleader doing with the helmet on? That's no cheerleader. That's my niece, Becky. She's pissed.
and I'm like, oh, it's
And
so
Ed
good.
O'Neill knows exactly what's about to happen, and it's just like he can't even. He doesn't have an emotional reaction because he's like, "This is what's going to happen next. You did this."
Yes. You did this to you.
Ed O'Neill and Icebox are the best two characters. Like, honestly, Rick Moranis, watching it this time, if it wasn't Rick Moranis, it'd be a pretty nothing character. Like, I'm surprised how little he bothered. He kind of just phones it in, but because he's Rick Moranis, he can do that, and it's still wonderful in every scene. But yeah, it really like doesn't do much.
I wanted to revisit like where this was in the Rick Moranis like starting to get out of movies.
I was going to ask about that because I feel like it might be towards the tail end.
No,
and
he
that
stayed
might
in
have
because I think one of the last ones he did was Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, which was like 97, right?
It is 97. That is
It's one of those
absolutely
weird,
spot
Matt,
on.
it's like your thing where you watch the sequel so many times. Like, that's it for me. I've seen Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves maybe 30 times, and I've seen Honey, We Shrunk the Kids twice.
Yeah, honestly, I'm the same way. I've seen Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves way more
it was just
than
on
I
TV
saw
all the time.
Honey, We Shrunk Our Kids. We had a tape for sure.
I've seen them both a million times. I've seen Honey.
That and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. I saw a ton.
I've never seen that one.
I saw that once in the theater and never returned, but the other two I saw a ton
What's
of times.
the order they came out in?
Shrunk the Kids, Blew Up the Kid, Shrunk Ourselves.
Okay, I always thought the Blue of the Kid was third. It felt like a Back to the Future, the Old West premise.
And Honey,
Shrunk the Kids was 89. Blew Up the Kid was 92. Shrunk Ourselves was 97.
Wow.
And if I remember correctly, that it was straight to video.
That might be a TV movie. TV
Yeah.
movie is what this says.
So on top of wanting to go take care of his kids, Rick Moranis was sort of like, no, I'm
Man,
getting out of this business.
I miss him so much. He is just one of those. He's like John Candy or Robin Williams. He's just, and he's quieter about it, but like, man, he is so fun to watch in just the nothing stuff that he does. It's like he doesn't need to really do anything. He's just such a nice presence.
Well, he's coming back, isn't he?
Well, he was, and then somebody fucking sucker punched him.
Oh. Well, he
I
was
forgot about that.
of all, the only person who could have got him back did, which is Ryan Reynolds for that Mint Mobile commercial, which was, I thought, funny, but
Yeah.
I don't know much.
So, I don't like this. There's a movie in pre-production that Rick Moranis is tied to
Ghostbusters
that is
3
called Shrunk.
Fuck.
Uh-huh.
with an exclamation mark.
No exclamation mark, but unfortunately, it's got Josh Gad as the lead alongside Rick Moranis, and it looks like Josh Gad is playing Rick Moranis' son.
Guys, we lost culture. We had it once. We had a world where you could have a Little Giants and it be a stupid kids cartoon, live action cartoon movie, but also be full of a lot of subtlety and intention.
You know who I blame?
And now we have Shrunk. We still have Steven Spielberg. What's he doing?
Do you blame Harambe?
I blame Fallon. It's fucking Fallon. It's definitely that guy.
Yeah.
Please,
Sure.
I'm
please
okay with
elaborate. Please elaborate. I want to rant.
I
Go.
think it's just
Is-
the nature of that. He's just, and I like Fallon, but like everything he does is the worst thing we could be doing.
Oh no, there's a real theory that like Jimmy Fallon tousling Donald Trump's hair on late night like got him elected and sent us further down the dark timeline.
It didn't help.
So I thought that's what you're referring to. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the lip sync karaoke kind of culture of what he bothered to make his show about.
Just the general blandness that is Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like James Corden deserves a lot of the blame there, but you know, that's just me.
Yeah, the two that whole
Corden's
era of
Corden's
I'm
a
famous
symptom.
now.
Fallon's
a little
the
bit
disease.
Well,
what's the British talk show where they're all very like relaxed on couches?
Graham Norton.
Graham Norton, who I like, but like that whatever that is part of the problem.
Graham Norton's been doing that for 30 years.
I know, but it's a slow burn.
No, I need to hear Matt's theory.
No, I think it's more just the fact of like the death of the monoculture in general, and the fact that like in the model that big productions have now, of they don't want to try to hedge bets on smaller productions and get a little bit back. They want to be very risk averse and then just kind of like spend all of their money on guaranteed established intellectual property, and that's kind of it. Like that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm going
And
for
the-
the easy
the-
laugh. I'm just going for the easy laugh.
And thus is the dichotomy between Frank and Matt.
I'm not exempt. I'm part of the problem. No, you're right.
There are
It's
two
absolutely
wolves in the culture. Which one are you going to feed?
right. One of
Yeah.
them is CGI.
Get what you fucking deserve!
Well, this whole podcast took a real dark turn.
Hey, do you know what's brilliant? Is a lost John Madden drawing on a map showing where he was.
Yeah.
That's a good bit. It's a very good bit.
That is a perfect joke.
How many of those NFL players could you name?
None.
Not Emmitt Smith and John Madden. That's it.
Just Emmitt Smith.
Just Emmitt Smith. Same.
Yeah, Emmitt Smith.
I had to look up who the other ones were, and I was like, I don't know.
I in fact had a moment where I said to myself, I look forward to learning who these guys are when we record this podcast later today.
No, I don't know. I also love that like this era of the 90s is like their bad acting was acceptable. Like this was acceptable
Yeah.
have, despite who they are, to be like this awful on camera. It's crazy.
I mean, go back and look at Space Jam. It's not
It's the
much
same
better.
thing. No, that's what I'm saying.
No,
it's the
it's
same
just as
era
bad.
where they're really bad in that too. Charles Barkley is just like, I still, as a child, I'm like, he's not doing a good job in this film.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Andy Moog wasn't
pretending
contending
wrong.
for. He's pretending too hard.
I'm
Oh,
four
God.
and I don't buy this.
Yeah.
what was it? He like couldn't pick up a basketball or something. I was like, that's not how that looks.
I love how they take their powers and they overshoot where they're not really good at basketball. They actually like can't function as humans with arms.
Yeah, they just forgot how to use their arms. John Madden, on the other hand, knows exactly what movie he's in.
Oh, he's
pretty good.
God bless him.
I didn't expect him to perform as strongly as he did. There was a moment where he said something about like you win football by, and then something about being a team or whatever. And I for a moment thought he was about to say by scoring the most points.
Well, yeah.
Which, if this movie had the courage of its convictions, he would have.
Listen, there's no big secret to winning football. It's just doing what these guys do every game. Just go out and give it your best. Bottom line, I took a team to a Super Bowl and we won. I even had some guys on that team that nobody wanted. But we were a team. And that's what you guys are. You're a football team. That's kind of like a family, except you get to hit each other. But you have to stick together. Do that, you'll be fine.
I think if it were made 10 years later after it started to really become a meme, I think that definitely would have been part of the joke.
Yeah.
Well, and then also John Madden's strength too is because he had already turned broadcaster by this point. So he had some of that skill of being on, which most of the football players in the movie didn't. And then the basketball players in Space Jam had not reached that point yet.
Yeah, and that's part of why he became the icon he was. Like he was great at football, but like there were other great people at football. The same thing. Michael Strahan is on every morning. He's on TV. Like there are people that like can jump to being a personality in that sense.
I was trying to think about like what would the equivalent be if like we were remaking the movie today, and it would be like if Bill Belichick was delivering those lines instead of John Madden. It would be like Belichick, and if we were doing active players, it'd be like Patrick Mahomes, like Micah Parsons, Travis Kelce, like.
You know who'd be
I'm trying to
great
think
that
of,
is
like,
not famous enough to do it yet, but like if he was to get this famous, he'd be perfect in this, is the Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel would be fantastic at this.
He's a gem. He's so funny.
The Lions coach, Dan Campbell, would be great in the John Madden role or the intimidation role. Like
Madden's interaction with the Boy Genius kid is one of the sweetest moments I've seen in a film in a very long time. The way that Madden sort of plays both like this kid's adorable but also like game no game. It's a good play.
Yeah.
I mean, we have not uttered the name of the play yet. The annexation of Puerto Rico.
Did anyone see I put that in the invite I sent for tonight? I was like, get ready to annex.
I saw that our special guest was the ghost of John Madden. I didn't see.
I thought that was in bad taste, but I still wrote it. I'll also say like this is that era of kind of kids movies, kind of comedies where if an adult is talking to a child that isn't their child, they act like they're the same age. Like that kind of like you just talk to people like there is no age difference.
That's how I talk to my friends' kids down, and they're like 2. Just sort of, how's your day? How's work?
I try to talk to my kid like that, but inevitably, like, you kind of end up slipping into 2-year-old speak because he's talking to you like that.
I was typing the phrase in my notes, a wild Harry Shearer appears. And as I was typing it, a religious Rance Howard appeared. Like, it was back-to-back, one after another. Harry Shearer, who literally showed up for one day. I don't even think they gave him a script. They're like, just kind of riff and pretend you're looking at plays and we'll find where to put these clips. Because he's never not just sitting in that one shot. And he's so good.
Giants kicking off. They'll be defending the western goal to my right, your left as you're listening.
It was my headcanon in this movie that he's not actually broadcasting to anybody or announcing. He's just
it's not plugged in.
With a microphone that's not plugged into anything, just talking.
I wrote my favorite line of his where the opening play when they go to kick the ball and the kid kicks the teammate in the groin. He immediately cuts to him and he says, "Oh, someone's holding about a pound of Aunt Betty's nut butter."
Oh yeah.
Well, the very first the line that he says right before that is kicking is the key to the game, and then it leads right to the nut shot, and then that line.
It's great.
Like, Harry Shearer is like a forecasting of Hank Azaria later in Brockmire.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
the
a little bit.
Simpsons to broadcaster pipeline is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a lateral move, but it works. It's
It's
also
legal.
like the amount of movies and shows where Harry Shearer is talking into a visible microphone, and then the amount of movies and shows where Rance Howard plays a religious person is just. I think that's we need to make a collection because Rance Howard shows up in Independence Day to marry Will Smith and Vivica A. Fox. Like, I think he's in a lot of roles as like the priest in something.
He's a good priest. He's a good looking priest.
Yeah.
Did anyone else have any like other favorite like Looney Tunes style bits from that? I mean, anything.
Oh, when the kid gets crushed by Spike, and there's a literal
Into
like
the-
child imprint in
Yeah,
the
the
grass.
imprint's good.
I thought that was a choice move.
That's excellent. I loved all of the plays that nobody could remember the plays because there was a line at the beginning of the movie where it was like, in 2 weeks we're gonna play this game. I was like, you're gonna get these kids together in 2 weeks to do this. I was like, okay. And he lifts up his shirt and he's got all the plays written on his stomach. Classic.
That was good.
Classic fat kid bit. I didn't identify with that at all.
Well, it was one of the skinny kids that had like 3 plays written on his belly.
Oh, what's that?
One of my favorites is when the kid has the sticky stuff on his hands,
Oh
Yeah.
God.
and he's I forget what his name is.
Hands.
Hannon.
Hot hands.
Hot hands Hannon. And he gets his hand stuck to his shirt, and he obviously doesn't catch the ball, but when he's lying on the ground and like the play is done and somebody says something to him and he just goes and he just like his hands come up like a heartbeat. I was like,
I like that they remember to have the black goo on his jersey the entire rest of the game. Like it was
the
it
rest
was
of the
great.
game.
And it's a good game. It's a fun game to watch. It's like a lot of stuff happens. It's 21-21. You know, it's a big game, and like a fairly good mid-game locker room inspirational speech that like I almost would have wanted. And there's a million things you could do to like just keep adding flourishes to this, but like if Rick Moranis was like fantasizing about giving that kind of speech and like was like, I can't wait, that's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give that big speech, and he like tries it and it's stale or something, then he gives that one-time speech, you know,
Which is funny because that's not what he fantasizes about before the game. Do you remember what he's practicing the night before the game?
Oh,
just
yelling at the
ref.
Yelling at the ref.
That was good.
That's what he's like keyed in on. He's like,
Watch the grabbing, Zebra. They're giving him the business out there, huh? What do you mean you're throwing me out? You're throwing me out, I'll throw you out. I'll throw your mother out.
What fascinated me about the inspirational speech at halftime moment in this watch, when he starts it, it seems like he's just going to let everybody go home. You know, like, okay, they've given up. All right, well, fine. And then he just it's almost like he convinces himself as well as the rest of the kids in real time to keep playing, you know?
Yeah, I don't think he has a I don't think he has a motive in that moment. I think he's just like, these kids are me. Let me just say what someone should have said to me, and then they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, well, and by and large, when he's not like fighting with his brother, that's like kind of all he's there to do. Like he's not like he's not starting a rival football team. I mean, he is starting a rival football team to piss off his brother, but that seems like it's more of a bonus, and he just wants to like help these kids. You know, and he's good at it.
What I love too is that the halftime speech is like it's all about how you one-upped your sibling. Like literally every example is like you did a backflip at the pool party and your brother chickened out. You ate more at like the county fair and your brother puked on a ride. Like you beat your brother down the biggest hill in the town, and everyone knows what that hill is and like why it's a big deal. Like I loved that little detail that it was like
One time.
It's not only that it's one time that you bested not just anybody, your sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The unbestable. Like the one that you don't, like that's not
Right.
even on the table.
One time at Randy Cooper's swim party, I did a backflip off the high dive, and my brother chickened out. Roger chickened out? He's a Marine.
Yeah.
I took that as he wasn't a Marine at the time, but
No. But like,
he's in. I picked like if for a moment you're
Still.
like, is he in the camo at the
if
pool
he's
party? What are
if
we
he's
doing?
a Marine now, and this kid's 10,
God help our armed forces.
Well,
It's an 8-year difference. My younger sister's 7 years younger.
minimum.
do we know what happened to the bully from like the first third of the movie?
What bully? Oh, he kind of vanishes. And is he even at the game?
He never really shows up at the game because I
like- no,
expected
he's
him
the
to
big bad
kind of
guy.
replaces him.
Yeah, but like that's it. Like the last time we really see him is when she, gets mud all over his face when she chases him down. But
And when he falls in the
That's
river,
it.
he might have been breached
Yeah.
to Terabithia.
Jesus.
That's the language of film is telling us that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I expected him to be the quarterback.
Yeah,
Or
and then
is
he's
there
not.
a quarterback? We don't even
They
know.
don't
There
really
is a
care
quarterback,
on the
but
other
it's not
team.
him.
Well, and I was gonna make the point. I was like, the little giants are all the minorities and like losers, but that's not true because the
No, it's
Cowboys
not.
have a black quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
they
thought it was very
consciously
strange.
only got one. Like they were like, we got it, box
Wow.
checked, we're good.
I was about to say they got their Jalen Hurts and done. The funniest part of this movie,
Connor, Jalen
bar
Hurts
none
was
for me.
so Philadelphia
Yeah,
has.
go ahead. Yep. Yep.
Okay, keep going.
Michael Vick, you know. Mike-
So
Unfortunately.
there's a lot of people have pets. Some of them are dogs.
Does Dante Culpepper mean anything to you?
Not a goddamn thing.
In
The-
ancient Aztecs, they used to use this. They cut off the head and basically.
And that's where lacrosse comes from. The part of this movie that me and my sister like to demand to be rewinded like a billion times is there's a moment in the movie when Ed O'Neill is trying to demonstrate a proper tackle to some of the,
I was going to bring this up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
it's,
great.
It's classic. It's he goes to tackle his wife full on. She jumps out of the way like a sane woman. He goes out the window, nut shot to a tree, and then falls in. I think he falls into the pool, right?
Falls into a pool.
Yeah, he falls into the pool. Which is
And-
that's also ill-advised doing all of that practice on the second floor of a home.
Yeah.
It's also you don't know it's the second floor until he's
No,
out
you
the
don't
window.
until-
you think he's
Yeah.
going into like a bush.
Yeah.
I do have written in my notes. Kids movie injuries are the best kind.
So
There
many
should
nut
be
shots.
We should make
That
a
man would be
bingo
dead.
card for when we do movies like this, which is like falling on a branch or a power line and your nuts get like hit like that. Like we need to figure out like the cliches of this.
Cartoon injury. Yeah.
Cartoon injuries, a fart that makes you physically change your consciousness. You know,
Maybe you can help me. See, I'm trying to remember what I had for lunch.
How can we do that?
By taking a whiff of this.
Fat kid likes snacks.
Yeah.
yeah.
Skinny kid like gets superhuman strength out of nowhere.
Yeah.
When he's angry, the water boy syndrome.
Don't talk about my mom. I fucking
kid's
love
great.
that scene.
He's
that
great.
That kid is super talented and plays everything just weird enough. Like, I like how when he's introduced, his mom is talking a million miles a minute about how she was very insecure about her pregnancy, and is now very insecure about her alive child. And his reaction is just like, my shrink told me I need to get out more.
Yeah.
Like-
Did you catch the stats when he was born? He was born
Yes.
like 1
1
pound.
The funniest
Yeah, 1
weight
pound,
they could have
like
said.
1.5 ounces.
1 pound.
flat.
That is so bad. Like, it's
Yeah.
a miracle that child is alive.
Yes.
Well, that's
Oh.
why she's got to wrap him up in couch foam.
Yes.
There was another moment that struck me when everybody's going to bed the night before the game, and the cop is rolling through the neighborhood and says like "Good night," whatever the name of the town is.
Urbania.
Or
"Good night, Urbania. See you at the game tomorrow." Just like, what is this weird fantasy 50s retro flash like 50s retro damn it, help me.
Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
Pleasantville.
Like why is that there?
I think because the town exists in a cartoon world. Like that's kind of part of it. Of like
It is a kid's
the fact that they have like the water tower with the originally just the one brother's name on it, and then like they have the brothers on it, and like one owns the car dealership, the other one owns the gas station. And its entire economy is based on this one Heisman Trophy winner that has a nebulous professional career.
So there's a fun real life fact about Little Giants. So the Giants never had all red jerseys before this movie. And they adopted them from 2004 to 2007. There were alternate jerseys that were red with white numbers.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they stopped using them, because the last year that they wore them, they won the Super Bowl in 2007
A great Super Bowl.
I watched a friend lose a lot of money during that Super Bowl.
But
sorry, Mike. So that was the infamous Patriots Giants Super Bowl where the Patriots were favored by like 2.5 touchdowns.
Was that their undefeated
like
season?
That.
I mean,
was that the other one? Yeah.
That was their almost undefeated season.
And
I'm not even a Giants fan, but
my roommate at the time gave a guy down the hall like 5-1 odds on a bet. And he got taken to the cleaners, and being a man of his word, he honored the bet, and he lost a lot of money.
Oh dear God.
If I do recall correctly, there was another team that had a rather infamous streak that season.
There sure was, Matt. I'm really glad you brought
The
that
Lions?
up.
What do you?
The Lions went 0-16 that season.
Not just that season.
That season?
No,
they only
did
it
again.
once. They only did it once.
Didn't they do it in 2016?
No. They only did it once. That was the Browns. You're thinking of the Browns.
Oh, right.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh,
I'm colorblind. I forgot.
Dude, we had it all wrong. While we spent all our time trying to make our team suck, these guys practiced and got really good at sucking.
Do you have anyone interesting this season coming up? I haven't looked at the Lions yet.
What do you mean, anyone interesting?
Did you get any good players in the offseason?
DJ Reader and Kevin Zeitler on the line, and then we drafted a cornerback named Terrion Arnold that I think is going to be really good, as well as Ennis Rakestraw.
You still have Goff, right?
Oh yeah, we still have Goff.
Could be good.
I mean, Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery.
Is this just a football podcast now, Matt?
You're welcome to
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Connor. Come join our fantasy football league.
No.
We major in sports, minor in movies.
Connor, you can roll a d20 to draft.
I suppose you could, yeah.
I could.
This is that Hunt for Red October where we just switch languages at the word Little Giants.
So my last topic. Where does this rank in like the football movie pantheon? Because this really did hold up way fucking better than I anticipated that it would. Like I thought it was going to be good, but it held up better both as a comedy and as a football movie than I actually thought it was going to.
I put it under Titans, under Replacements, over Leatherheads. I don't even know there's not a lot of
I was
football
about to say,
movies.
Rudy?
Under Rudy.
There's
It's
certainly
under
more football in this movie than Rudy.
Any Given Sunday?
I would put this over Any Given Sunday just by virtue of the fact that Any Given Sunday is just like a weird fucking movie that barely actually has to do with football.
That movie is made out of cocaine.
I mean, it's over The Blind Side.
Yeah.
I do think so. My truly my favorite football movie of all time is Friday Night Lights. I love that movie. I think it's under that.
Yeah.
I think it's over We Are Marshall. I think it's over Varsity Blues. I think it's over
fair.
both versions of The Longest Yard.
Oh, I've never seen the original. I don't hate the other one, the Sandler, but I'll watch this again before I watch that. Yeah, it's kind of in the middle somewhere, but
Yeah, I'd like middle to upper middle.
Top of the bottom half.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those ones we need to start a running list, Peter, of like movies we show your son that we have to be like, let's, for science, we need to see if this is transcendent.
I showed him his first clip of Hercules, the Disney movie.
Oh.
So he's a huge Frozen fan. Loves Frozen.
We all are.
Loves specifically Let It Go. He wants to watch Let It Go
They all
over and
do.
over and over.
They all do.
But I in the car on the way home from daycare today, I put on I Can Go the Distance. And it was a huge coup because we got through it and he said, more again.
Okay.
And I said, awesome. And so when we got home, I started showing him clips and I was like, you're going to love Zero to Hero. Could not give a shit. Could not fucking care.
What hits and what doesn't, it just depends.
He loves an I Want song.
He loves a ballad. He loves a ballad.
So next on the list is Hellfire from Hunchback.
That's right. We're going straight.
Jesus fucking Christ.
We might start with Bells of Notre Dame, but yeah, Hellfire immediately right
Bells of
after.
Notre Dame
Yeah.
I'm still scared to rewatch that. I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm old enough.
Hunchback is, I mean, like people give there are parts of it that are weak, but like there are some really solid, strong moments to that.
It's pretty great. If it wasn't for the gargoyles, I think it'd be like close to a masterpiece.
It's my favorite Disney animated film.
It's
that is my number one.
Oof, that's tough.
I'm a Mulan guy.
Mulan's great. Aladdin, great
Aladdin
pick.
too.
Aladdin's my second favorite.
Yeah,
I was surprised at how the one clip that I showed of Hercules. I don't know if it was a bad rip off YouTube, but like the animation was really underwhelming to me. I was like, oh, this does not look great.
Well, it's a little done in that style of like the paintings on the side of like Greek
pottery.
So it's purposely janky in certain aspects, not everything, but yeah.
Angular.
Well, and Can Go the Distance is also like the least dynamic, visually represented scene.
That's
in
when
the
he's
whole
still
movie.
like awkward and thin, right? Yeah.
Yeah, as a teenager, and he's like singing at Zeus.
Well, at his parents, but yeah. I don't know, Connor, you have one?
Oh God! How do you pick? How do you pick?
Look, you don't have to have one.
No, I sort of float in like the Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah,
both solid.
Region of Space.
Hard to go wrong there. That was a great run.
Little Mermaid was the first movie I saw in the theaters.
That's
Little
cool.
Mermaid was my favorite movie when I was like age, but my son's age. Redact his name. Bleep his name, please.
Yeah.
We'll just add one of the
when-
fart sounds from Little Giants.
Thank you. Yeah, when I was my son's age, Little Mermaid was my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Although I had to hide every time Ursula got
Oh
killed.
God, yeah.
That freaked me
that's
out.
a disturbing sequence.
Yeah.
You know what really flipped me out as a kid was King Triton going nuts in her collection room.
Also hid from that too. That was scary.
That fucked me up.
Guys, are we no longer a sports podcast? Is that the end of that? Because I feel like
No, we're now a Disney podcast.
Yeah, we're now a Disney Renaissance podcast, and Don Bluth, because we'll throw him in there. It's fine.
Yes.
We contain multitudes. Yeah, let's revisit Rockadoodle.
Did everyone see it?
I was in the process of revisiting it on the way home.
I hope you guys listened to the commentary track. It was fun.
Yeah, that'll
on my
date
to-do list.
this recording because that episode dropped today.
This was a blast. Go football. Hopefully this is dropping like around.
We should be thoroughly in the beginning of football season.
Oh,
by the
let's
time
drop this
drops.
on the Thursday game.
the 5th.
What's
September 5th? Yeah.
Yeah, whenever. Yeah,
Okay.
whatever that day is. Yeah.
Tell us, time traveler.
How about new?
want to do a bet?
The line is Kansas City -3. So I'm taking Baltimore, and I bet Kansas City doesn't cover.
I'll take Chiefs. and do like $10. Something small. Anyone else
$10?
want in?
Yeah, I'd do $10. I'm in.
Those are words.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just Peter and I.
That's fine.
This is now a sports betting podcast.
Correct. Well,
and for legal purposes, based in New Jersey.
if you are a sports podcast by proxy, you are now a betting
True,
podcast
yeah.
because that's just how the
Because
world works now.
there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Good night.
Yes,
Scarf. Yeah. That's from Scarfing Down Dinner.
That's all right.